Test, test, test.
Yes, test, test, test. Let me try that again.
Get feedback.
Feedback.
You hear it over the top?
You hear it over the top? That's probably better. All right.
Test.
Test. All right, almost there. Oh, you want to hold that for a second? Yeah, I know. I was going to say, you're probably used to that, right? Don't say that too loud. I think that gets us shut down. Yeah. One. Good, good. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate that.
Test.
Test, test. Hey, that's us. Bill? Well, I'm going backwards though, so it ends up working out. Okay. I know, man. The old lady started barking at me. Oh, and you got to keep it honest at home, right? Yeah, I let it go. I almost went Nietzsche though. I went too far. Oh, yeah, we'll see. November's coming up, so we'll see what happens for November.
So, guys in the Bitcoin space, what I like to always think about, what I like to always talk about is where trades are going. Recently, we saw that Apple and
They're spitting out there. They're closing a bunch of restaurants.
you guys remember last year Walmart said there
600 something stores.
We're kind of seeing this trend economically where we got these really huge industries like Amazon approaching in everything, and they're spreading out. They have a big different model that we haven't seen before. Model to growth. Remember,
years ago,
should I buy Amazon?
I said their balance sheet sucks. I said, yeah, I said there's no profitability there.
And today,
you know, I look like a retard talking to my brother. I was like, yeah, no, I said the same thing about Tesla.
Tesla's $15. You guys should buy Tesla. I said, dude, see, Elon Musk, he lost like $15 on something crazy. And Tesla, I am missing one after the other. I'm like making the worst mistakes of anybody that I've ever seen. I read every book by Buffett, how to analyze balance sheets,
what to look for when investing in these companies.
Missing one after the other. And you know what reminds me of? It reminds me of the cryptocurrency space. Like so many people that are involved see the technological explosion. We understand that it's internet
3.0. We know that it's a brand new layer.
And people that are
dissecting, digging even deeper. Like one thing I think about is IP addresses.
You guys remember when everybody's talking about everything like
an IP address? I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible. We can IP, what is it, 6? But they do. Everybody got stuck on 4, right?
So I
think about this, but with blockchain, everything could have an address. Everything could have a cryptographic address. So when we think about cryptocurrencies, I think about how big cryptocurrency can become compared to
So, ladies and gentlemen, upper level guy right there. If you have any questions, I got to hit up later on. But anyway, so I think about this all the time. So I want to kind of open up a dialogue. I think right now, systemically, we're not seeing visuals that was to like 2005, 2006, 2007. And all this just everybody I knew would buy 2 or 3 houses, and they'd say, "I'm get a loan, just the interest." I said, "Well, what happens when I'm done paying the interest?" And I kept thinking about like months and months. Thinking about I guess it does. And then everybody left and right. I think countrywide at the time had about an 8 to 12% foreclosure rate. So I think systemic. In a period of time where age of abundance is upon us. In other words, like things so deflationary. And I don't have an opinion necessarily, but I'm very curious. I'm more about this. Are we in a period of abundance where things are deflationary? I don't want to bury that, but we're seeing a deflationary and actually Amazon dumping the price of everything. So can we not have a collapse? Do we need them systemic? What is systemic out there? I don't know, but I see a lot of things that are weird, like the Applebee's, the Walmarts. See all these small businesses. The Starbucks just said they're closing tea stores. All this. See, it's all. I just start. So anybody have any insight? Anybody got to speak on these guys here. Anybody want to start us off? Marcus, what are you watching? National, global, international, domestic? What do we see, Marcus? How's the EV5? Is it running hot? Is it down a little bit? It's going like gangbusters. So, guys, this is Marcus Tam. He's one of the most prolific dominators economically in the space. He's got heavy connections. All right, so that's an interesting thing. So that kind of goes. Show. I was in. Oh, that's bold. I like that. That's got flavor. What else? What else? Oh, hey, some Craig pops on here. Should be on any minute. What else? AOP. Want to bark? This guy, the prognosticators.
I like that idea, but I think that if fast that people are going to pull their money out of crypto and so we don't want a big crash to happen too fast, because if that starts happening today, everybody needs to be cash ready. Nothing's priced in crypto yet. And now we're in trouble, and the crypto is going to crash completely. So we want to have that. We want to have a little bit of abundance. We want to be doing okay. We want to hold it up for a little bit longer so we can have that transition. Or we have this big fall. And I do think that probably there's a lot of problems start rearing their head soon, but we don't want that to happen very quickly. Yeah. Well, if it does happen quickly, though, it's going to pull the money out of crypto. Everybody's going to they need cash. They have to have. Except that you're going to go to stuff that we're going to buy groceries and gas. Yeah, for sure. But that the value is going to drop. If everything else starts, if everybody starts, like when you have the ability to invest in things like cryptocurrency, all the new people here wouldn't do that unless they had some cash, right? Super more people are putting all their life into crypto.
We're just talking on.
that we see the rise in crypto.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
as
you get it. You get it.
we can let it mature a little bit more because the money's going to pull out. I think that the money's going to pull out.
So let me just say something to what you're saying here, and I do not want to seem offensive, but you just said some things, and I'm like, but what's your justification for what you just said?
For which part? For why?
Every single point you made, I'm like, well, why would you say that?
I think that generally, when people have extra money, right, and things are going well, that's when they invest in things. They're going to put their money into different places. So if you take the idea that become broke and scared, like you were saying, if we have this massive crash in the stock market, people are going to get scared and tighten up.
Why you said we don't want. But now explain to me, how can we control it from where we're sitting so that it doesn't go too fast?
Because I think it's very difficult, and I think more money into crypto actually starts making that happen faster because we start something else besides stocks, besides cash, and that pushes it even further and faster. So I really don't know how you would do it, but I'm just saying I'm hopeful that there's not big problems in the very near future. We want to, again, I don't know how to stop that from happening. And I do believe that there are going to be big problems, but we have a little bit more time for this space to mature.
Hey, Dr. Ivy, Yale King. This will be a bloodbath at the end. We will put you guys in a ring, octagon. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, let me break into our first guest. Craig, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, maybe we got to turn him up now. Hang on one second.
Craig, make sure you're unmuted.
I believe I'm on.
Okay, try it one more time. Give me another test.
Hello, everybody.
Craig, can you give me another test?
Hello, testing. Idaho, Bitcoin. Hello.
Can everybody hear him okay right there? I was going to get some gnarly feedback. Hang on a second.
Just a second, Craig.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought I did that already. Let me double check.
Okay, test. Give me another test, Craig.
Hello, everybody. Hello from the great north of Idaho.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll introduce you. Okay. Hey, so guys, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Craig Mason, Bitcoin Evangelist from up north, beating the woods up there in Coeur d'Alene. Craig, why don't you go and introduce yourself and then give your spiel, and then we'll do some Q&A for you. Go for it.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Craig Mason. I am in the great north of Idaho, as Ronnie mentioned. I am just a guy with a YouTube channel. I happen to be in Idaho, and I like the title Crypto Evangelist because I looked up what an evangelist is, and it's an enthusiastic advocate. And I guess that's what I am for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And really what I try and do on my YouTube channel in general is be an advocate for philosophy, reason, evidence, and ideas that I think make a difference for humanity, myself, people I know, people around me. And I think cryptocurrency, as I'm sure many of you agree, is one of those ideas that, should it propagate through humanity, is going to be a huge win-win for all the people versus, say, the banking industrial globalist, whatever you want to call it, complex people that can print money ad infinitum versus people that can control their own money. And so Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is one of the main ideas I talk about. And I really, on my channel, what I mostly try and do is talk about how we can really figure out what's going on and how we can communicate these ideas to our friends and family and anyone else we know. And I was thinking about the idea of communicating this and being a Bitcoin evangelist. And I read a book recently called Contagious. I actually have it here. I'll show you the cover of it. But the idea is that there's a picture of it there. But there's a study that they reference, and it talks about how ideas are spread. It's written from the perspective of marketing professionals, but they do this study showing how ideas actually are spread amongst people, like how's a new product spread, how's a viral video spread. And the shocking result was that over 90% of ideas are still spread in real life. Even though we have social media and email and Facebook and everything else, still it's face-to-face conversations with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and all this that actually transmit ideas from one person to the next and make them go viral. And so I was thinking about people I know that are involved in cryptocurrency, and a lot of them, that's how they found out about it, was from me or someone else having a conversation with them, explaining to them the real long-term value of why it is. And my background is in business. I'm an accountant, but I've done a lot of sales. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. And one of the tenets of sales, or a good salesman, realizes that sales is not made on the first call. And a good salesman walks you through the process of trying to understand what the real value of the product is, and understand what your concerns are and why it's a benefit to you, and then helps you through the process of adapting to it. And so what I try and do is talk to people about how they talk to people about spreading ideas that are of great value. And I think cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whatever cryptos you like, I think are a world-changing idea. And so I'm here to talk about that with anyone that wants to talk about it in real life or online or otherwise. And it sounds like you guys have a great group down there, and I'd love to get down there, but I'm pretty far away. But thanks for having me on, and that's my spiel. So take it away, Ronnie.
Okay, so Craig, let me get you a couple questions. First off, guys, anybody has any questions, throw them up. I want to ask, how long have you been in the crypto space? And are you closer to Bitcoin maximalist, or are you open to the whole space?
I've been actually invested in cryptos for less than a year. I've been following it for much longer. Obviously, I wish I would have been invested for much longer than that. But in terms of being a Bitcoin maximalist first, otherwise, I'm not attached to any one cryptocurrency. I want whatever crypto, I invest in the ones that I think have a long-term value. So the ones that will accomplish the goals I talked about before, which is allowing people to be off the regular banking grid. And so the ones I like the most, and this is not investment advice, of course, I like Bitcoin because it has a network effect. I like Bitcoin Cash because I think it really fulfills Satoshi's vision. I like Dash because of its structure. And those are the main ones I like. There's some other ones that are smaller, but I'm not a real techie. I don't get into a lot of the altcoins, but I try and research whatever comes up that seems interesting and has long-term value.
With your background in accounting, as you got more involved in the crypto space, was there any cognitive dissonance? I mean, were you struggling at one point? Would you have gotten in earlier without that background? Was it a hindrance or some sort of obstacle? You know, we get conditioned by the environment, right? And so did that legacy model environment prevent you from earlier entry?
Yeah, it definitely did. And I don't think it's just the accounting background. I think it's just, as you said, we're all conditioned to our environment. So we see this so-called asset that really you can't hold in your hand, and it's not the bank account or paper money we're accustomed to, even though it has far more value. That mindset definitely did. And I think if you're adapted now, you've still broken free really early from the traditional mindset. So I don't think it was necessarily accounting, but just the general environment in which we're all brought up in every way, I think affects our inability to adapt to cool new technology, and both in the technical space and in ideas.
Okay, so one thing that I feel like I've been noticing with the government is when I entered the Bitcoin space, probably in 2012, there was really the consensus was, you know, we're going to topple the government. We're going to destroy fiat currency. What I feel like now is that we're starting to see the government. As a matter of fact, Idaho just released a news article where they're doing a deal with the Ledger for data integrity insurance and things like this. And I feel like many participants in the government, they're citizens, and they realize that we're getting hacked all the time. The current methods that we're using plastic cards that were built in the 50s. You know, it's a 1950s, late 50s technology. It wasn't built for the internet, for this, you know, global medium. I think I don't know that I'm confident that this will be a battle anymore. I think that there's a high probability that the government or that the people in charge realize that they're going to have to embrace this technology. So I don't, you know, we've thought for a long time about a collapse or a major confrontational point. What do you feel? You know, how do you think this is going to go? Because we know now it definitely is going to be adopted. There's no way around blockchain technology. How do you feel that the the mass adoption or the major network effect is going to happen?
Well, I think that the governments realize, as you said, that it can't be stopped. And so if they try and fight it, it's not going to work. And so I think they're seeing where it's going. And, you know, these governments, although they may be incompetent at some things, they're not stupid, and they can know what's in their best interest to adopt when they have to. And so I don't know if the conspiracy theories about, you know, the Chinese government saying bad things and then buying it up secretly, I don't know if that's true, but it does seem like, as you said, everyone is capitulating essentially. As far as it making the government obsolete, I hope that's what it does in the long run. I'm a voluntarist. I think the government is really just a group of people that point guns at you and tell you what to do. And so, you know, if you have the group of people there, you can't take 51% of you and vote the other 49% of you out of your Bitcoin. It's not fair. It's pointing a gun and essentially extortion. And so I hope that Bitcoin gets to that point, and I hope that it's a slow trickle of everyone eventually just moving over as peacefully as possible to this way better system and just leaving the old system in the dust. So I hope that's how it goes. I hope it's peaceful, and and it seems like governments can't resist because it's not going to work.
So with your economic background again, right now it seems like these markets are small enough and volatile enough, but accessible enough that we could have large corporations really jump in. Like, you know, an example would be Amazon. Amazon could buy up the market. I mean, they could really interfere in the market and make a heavy profit for themselves. And not even a company like Amazon, it wouldn't take much right now to cause massive price fluctuations. And of course, I don't understand this stuff, so I couldn't tell you how to do it. But I know that companies with money or hedge funds could. Why do you suppose we're not seeing this type of, not necessarily pernicious behavior, but really self-serving behavior from some heavy financial institutions?
I don't know why we haven't seen it yet. I think it would be a pretty big step for any of them to actually jump into it. And I think that they're, like you said, they're in a very traditional model. Like I was talking to a financial advisor the other day, and they kind of get and see that it's going to be a big thing, but to actually take, say, their clients' money, if it's a hedge fund, or take this huge stash of cash, say a company like Amazon has, that they have this fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to keep track of the money and be very safe with it. You know, when you have a company that big, you have to be super safe because your number one goal is not to make some gangbusters return, it's to protect this massive asset you have. And so I think you are going to see that. I think it's a matter of time before they start to see the writing on the wall and they slowly start to dip their toes in. Like, for instance, Overstock.com, they're starting to hold some of the Bitcoin that they get from the revenue from selling stuff. And so I think it's only a matter of time before just even a little bit of that institutional money comes in. Like you said, I mean, the market cap of all cryptos is what, 150 billion approximately? The market cap of Amazon.com is over 400 billion. So it's a drop in the bucket. And I think you're right. It's only a matter of time before I think it happens.
So that's a pretty good point. I didn't think about it like that with the fiduciary responsibility, but what you could have is the Solemn of Brunei, where, you know, dump 30 billion into the space and really wreak havoc if you wanted to. I suppose the problem is comfort, perhaps, and maybe they just don't know. So maybe that's the next ICO project that somebody works on, helping some of these, international robber barons just really wreak havoc while making a heavy profit. So let me ask you, what are you optimistic about in the space? I know that we see a little bit of volatility within the culture. You see some infighting, and oftentimes I don't think people realize how important the solidarity is right now within our ethos. But tell me what you're optimistic about, and you know, then juxtapose that with what's your biggest concern right now.
Yeah, sure. What I'm optimistic about is just how many people are getting on board with understanding the true value of cryptocurrencies. A lot of people see it initially and think, oh, I can make some money on this. But what really gets people excited is understanding the true value of going outside of the current system. And I think that meme is just exploding. And so the long-term prospects of cryptocurrencies, like you said, it's unstoppable. And this idea, similar to voluntarist ideas or what I was talking about earlier with what the government really is, this meme is spreading throughout humanity kind of exponentially, it seems like. And Bitcoin is a big part of that, and that's what I'm most optimistic about. As for what I'm not, I don't know, or what I'm concerned about, you know, the split with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, I am concerned about the initial, the original Bitcoin that is now controlled by Blockstream Core. That does concern me because I see some problems there. I think the limitation of the block, and again, I'm not a technical expert, but I see the conversations coming out of those forums, and it doesn't seem like they're taking a philosophical approach. And I find that frustrating, especially when you have new people coming in, because what they hear is they don't hear cryptocurrencies, they hear Bitcoin. And so they get in and they get involved and they get invested in Bitcoin. And I don't know what the long-term strategy for that is, if it's going to have, or viability, if it's going to have big fees. It might be fine. I think in the long run, the thing that overall makes me not lose a wink of sleep at night is the crypto markets are free markets, and they will figure out, the money will go towards what's useful. And so I think it could be volatile along the way, but overall, I'm not concerned because we finally have truly free markets in money, which is awesome.
Do you see a future with centralized exchanges, or do we finally emancipate ourselves and all exchanges are decentralized?
Oh, that's an interesting question. You know, I think it's great that you can store your coins offline. I definitely do that for almost all of them. But I think there is a future for some centralized exchanges just for the sheer convenience of it, because, and not only that, you could have a security factor where if you had a really reliable exchange that you wanted to put some Bitcoin in that you didn't have to deal with worrying about your own private key in your house or your safety deposit box or wherever, that could provide a value as well. So I think that certainly we don't want Mt. Gox style scenarios, but I think there will always be some exchanges that just make it convenient, although maybe we'll just all have wallets anyway. But I think for people holding big sums of money, there might be a reason to have them. I couldn't say, but I think there will be a reason for them.
So, Craig, we're just about at time. I'm going to ask the audience one last time. Does anybody have any questions for Craig? Okay, one from the back. Dr. Ivy, go for it. I'm sorry. Craig Mason. So hang on just a minute, Craig. I'm going to bring in the mic. This will go for a little bit. Hang on. Be like Jerry Sprint the audience here. Dr. Ives.
Hey, thanks. I'd just like to understand from your viewpoint, what is driving cryptocurrencies up? I think I get it, but I would like to just understand a little more rigor of what does that.
Driving the price up, I assume you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, good question. What I think is driving them up is that people are starting to see their value. What drives the stock price up is people think the value of that stock is worth more than it was yesterday or more than an hour ago, because every share of stock is a future share of their profits. Whereas Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, getting a piece of that is getting a piece of currency that could be used in the future. And currency is extremely useful, because when you have dollars or whatever currency you have, gold coins, let's say dollars, that's what we're used to. When you have dollars, that's very useful in terms of being able to go anywhere and buy anything you want, as opposed to trying to haggle furs or whatever else you might have. And so the utility of currency is very high, because you can store the value you work, you can store the value of your labor in a very easy to use commodity. And so the value of a currency on Earth, depending on how you measure it, is somewhere between tens of trillions and hundreds of trillions of dollars. And that shows that we value this ability to do that. And people are starting to see that potentially cryptocurrency could be the new default currency. And so you would have this transfer of wealth from the regular currency to the cryptocurrency because it's so useful. And people are starting to see the utility of the cryptocurrency as opposed to the fiat currency. So another example is compare the value of all cryptocurrency, 150 billion approximately, to the value of all gold, which is 5 trillion approximately. So that's at least tens, I think 50 plus times less than that, and only half of gold approximately is used for jewelry. So the rest is a commodity for potentially money or industrial use. Even though Bitcoin has an industrial use, I think it's way, way less value than gold currently in terms of its dollar value, and way, way, way less valued than fiat currency. And so the short answer, long answer, short answer, long, is that people are seeing the true actual utility of why cryptocurrencies are useful and thus are bidding up the price.
Yeah. Hey. All right. So Craig, we got to let you go. We got Kenneth Ameduri coming on here in just a few minutes. I want to thank you very much for your time. And if you email me any links, wait, did we have one more question? All right, good. If you email me any of your links, I'll distribute them to the whole group. I really appreciate you coming in via Hangouts. One quick question for you. I'm at Phelps Field tomorrow in Spokane. I'll buy you lunch if you come by.
I'm in. That's
okay,
great.
Listen. Buzz me in the morning. I get there like, I don't know, 8 a.m. or something, but I'm there all day. But how do you feel about a 11 a.m. lunch?
That's great.
Do you like chicken fried steak?
Sure.
Because they make the biggest one I've ever seen. So, okay. All right.
Okay,
All right, my
great.
brother. Hey,
Thanks
thank
for
you
having
very
me on, Ronnie.
Yeah,
It's good to be here.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll see you tomorrow. Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Yeah, big round of applause, guys. So I'll shut. Kenneth, sorry about that, my brother. Give me a second. I'll introduce you. Can you hear me okay? Hang on. I might make sure. Can you hear me okay, Kenneth? He can hear me fine. I can't hear him. Make sure you're not muted. Oh, hey, do you have a pair of headsets? So we don't get any feedback? Hey, guys, by the way, those are awesome questions. I need a headset. Still use headsets? Dates? Then I'm going to walk my belt. This, yeah. Is that good or bad? So, hang on. Okay, Kenneth, can you give me a test? He's muted. Oh, do I have somebody help? All right, so Kenneth, give me another try here. Who's good with Hangouts? Help us. Well, that's fine. Okay, and double check, make sure you're not muted, Kenneth, because I know you can hear us. We can't hear you. Yeah, so he's definitely not. Okay, give me just a second, Kenneth. Call you. Yeah, Kenneth, do you want to call us back? You want to try and call back real quick? Okay, call us back. Yeah. Hey, is that a CS student I hear over there? Hard reset, hard reboot? Somebody's been in the bash terminal. Just hold it up. Join video call. Come on in. Okay, give us another test. Hey, Kenneth. Okay, so Kenneth, it's not even picking your volume up. Give us another test. It's not even switching over to your visual. Now it's not even picking you up. Do you have a microphone? Oh. Should we have, what do you guys think? Type? Nick, take a look. See if he's got a, hey, Kenneth, make sure the button on your earpiece is not, the mute button is undone. That's just have to keep checking. Oh, so he's typing it. I don't have Skype set up. Let's see. I tell you what, give me a second. Let me open a new Hangout, and I'll send you a link in just a second, okay? Okay. Oh, it could be